Hello, Sudeep. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing good.
Excellent. Thanks for joining me.
It's fine. It's my honor to do that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's great to, get to hear your story and be able to share that with other students who are
Yeah,
very likely in the same position you are. Um,
yeah. For a long time, I have been watching videos like this, and I always dreamed of doing like this.
finally, the time
Yeah,
has come. So
yeah.
first of all, Sudeep, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Myself, Sudeep. I'm from India. Basically, I'm a software engineer, and I was looking for Canadian immigration. So I started my IELTS journey 2 years ago in 2017. So I was actually targeting 8777, the golden CLB9. I have, being frank, attempted. I failed 11 times. Then,
11 times.
yeah, I wasted a lot of money and effort. It was always a stressful thing to fail again and again. Then I came across its advantage, then enrolled in the VIP course. Then the very first attempt, hit it. I hit it.
Wow, so it's a big turning point. And
Yeah,
how
yes.
how how long was it from like that first IELTS test to like the first of 11 from that one until the one that you've just done recently that got you the scores you needed?
Because in the very beginning, I have actually gone for a course, a training course in here in a local institute to get an idea about how the text works, how the exam pattern and all. They just show me the pattern of exams, and I have got a couple of 4 or 5 mock tests so that I got an idea about how things work. But
And
the
what
issue,
what year was that?
it was in 2017.
2017.
Yeah, 2017 January. I have attended the course for 2 months, so got an idea about the test. That's it. Basically, what the institute does is they actually do a kind of spoon feeding, I should say. I mean, they will not teach us why we do like this, what is going wrong with the writings, and what we are doing while speaking and things like that. They only make the corrections. Actually, I didn't have an idea about what kind of mistakes I make. So later, I attended twice while I was a student in that institute in 2017, and I have got a reasonably good score without knowing the basics. I was not at all aware what is good and what is bad in IELTS. Even though I have scored a 7 in writing there, still I'm wondering how could I achieve in that time. Then talking about Canadian immigration in 2017, that score was a fairly good score, even though it is not CLB9. Then I was waiting to get an invitation, but things changed suddenly. I was ended up in, I mean, then I waited for almost 1 year to get an invitation. But then I realized the things is getting worse. The point is getting higher and higher. So I ended up in really necessary to get the CLP9. So yeah, then I just started to take the test repeatedly. I mean, from 2018 March onwards, I used to take the test in every month. The issue is that I have scored actually in writing. I have scored 7 thrice, including the last one. The issue is that while I got 7, I failed in listening. Listening it for short for zero point 0.5. I was scored 7.5 in listening, and everything other, including writing, was okay.
And
Then I
finally you got
yeah,
higher than you even needed. What were your results
yeah.
in the end, Sudeep?
And the final result is listening 8.5, reading 9, and speaking and writing 7.
7
So
each,
yeah, it is more than enough
more than you needed.
for, yeah,
And
definitely.
was it the academic or the general that you got?
General, yeah, it's for immigration. So it is general.
And
Um,
what were the things that you really struggled with most? So I know there were some scores, like for example, listening and reading that weren't as difficult for you. You were able to get the scores that you needed in
yeah.
speaking quite regularly. But
Yes.
in relation to writing, what were the things that you were really struggling with? What were those? What were the
Uh,
key things that were stopping you from moving forward?
Yeah, before I came across IELTS Advantage, I was in doubt like whether my structure was okay or not. So I ended up and I watched all the free videos that Chris provided, all the examples in IELTS Advantage website. Then I set a structure, but even then I was still getting 6.5. So I ended up means I bought the VIP course. Then I realized the most benefit I made is I got from my disadvantages essay corrections, so that I came to know what exactly my mistakes are. So they were mistakes was usage of commas, articles especially the use of articles, then subject verb agreement. I was never thought like I was making that much mistakes because I used to speak English daily. Means maybe I means regarding my profession, I used to speak a lot, write a lot, but I was wondered when I am making this much mistakes. Means it's minor mistakes, small mistakes, but I used to make mistakes in more than half of my all the sentence that I write.
So
So
the
I
types,
worked on
sorry, with the
yeah,
types of mistakes that wouldn't stop communication. So in your day-to-day life,
no,
it was never
no,
an
never,
issue, but you
no,
needed that accuracy.
yeah,
And
yes, for
so it was mainly language errors. Were there anything in relation to like the exam skills or the structure or the content or any of those types of things that surprised you when you saw your feedback?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the one of the main thing was I mean, even while I was uh, going for a training for IELTS in the local institute, they were only focusing on the essay because it was a lot of marks compared to task one letter. So I was including me, all the students is especially focusing on writing task two, and they will only get trained and practice the essay. But the change occurred for me like while I watched, I followed the structure for the letter. First thing was to understand there are not a pattern called semi-formal letter. There are only formal and informal. Then there is a pattern for each paragraph for each bullet points in task one, and a particular kind of sentence structures that especially for letters. I did follow that for task one. Then boom, I got 7. I
Just
think
like
that
that.
was a turning point. Yeah, yeah. Then just like essay, we need to follow a particular structure and a pattern for letter also.
So
Uh,
what was the main thing you did differently in task one compared to the previous attempts where you weren't getting the
yeah,
score you wanted?
yeah.
What did
What
you do
may
differently?
I blindly follow the structure that Chris provided in the VIP course. Right, I wrote each paragraph for each bullet points, around 50 words each for each paragraph, and follow that subject line and the conclusion statements exactly like the video suggested. What I was doing before is that I write, or it is true that I follow all the bullet points, but it was a mixed up paragraphs. I mostly end up inviting only two body paragraphs in a mixed kind of idea. So then I followed the structure, which is for each bullet point, each paragraph. Then I got the desired result.
And then in relation to like the grammar things that were pointed out, you said commas and articles and was it subject verb agreement, I think you said.
Yeah, yes, yes.
How did you counteract those issues? What did you do to make sure that
Um,
that didn't occur again in the real test?
yeah, what worked for me well is that on the essay correction service from IELTS Advantage, you won't spoon feed us. You won't explicitly mention this is the mistake and why this is a mistake and what correction should you make. Apart from that, you just mention this is wrong and this is a possible right answer. Then what I did is that I have made a research on that particular mistake and made a personal note on that, and there is a lot of website in internet which provides like sample tests, so that especially for articles I followed, I used several website to train myself, and I started writing whatever I like. Means apart from training, means practicing essays and letters, I used to write simply just paragraph in just to practice the usage of articles. Then I used to means I got used to correct usage of articles. Then I got trained. Then whenever I write an essay, it came automatically the correct articles, and I got trained to use the commas effectively.
Brilliant. So hard work, basically.
Definitely, yes.
Hard work. Yeah, brilliant. And then in the actual test itself, in the real test, when you finished writing your task 1 letter and you finished writing your task 2 essay, did you go back through and read those essays and read the essay and read the
Yes.
letter to see if you could find those 3 mistakes that you
Yes.
make most often?
Yes, I applied a 3 layer of reading again. Means after writing each sentence, I double check that. After completing each paragraph, I read again. Then after completing the whole letter or essay, I means read it again. And for especially, I know these are the mistakes I may make. Right. So especially, I used to check that kind of mistakes, and luckily they were not.
You didn't find many?
No, 1 or 2, I guess.
1 or 2?
No article mistakes, of course.
You had done all that work
Something else.
before you went there, so not necessary.
Yes.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
still very important that even those 1 or 2 mistakes could have been enough to, bring
Yes.
up your score. And the fact that you knew what you were looking for is going to make it a lot more easy, definitely. So can you just imagine yourself, say, 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago? Can you imagine yourself in that situation again? And what advice would you give yourself back then? If you could send a message to the past, what would you say to yourself back then to help you through and get you to the other side?
I would say to myself, like, don't believe that luck will help you. Don't believe that you failed because of the question was difficult. Don't believe that you was not in a good mood. Trust yourself that, and believe that even if you regularly use English, you might make mistakes. You need definite an advice from an expert, so that in order to point out these are the mistakes. Don't repeatedly taking the test won't make a positive result. Apart from that, you need to listen from somebody who is an expert and follow that advice. Then you will definitely get.
So there were times where you were trying to find things to blame for your failure. You were trying to find reasons outside yourself for not getting the score you needed by the sounds of what you just said. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's very common for people to feel that way. It's hard to take responsibility, especially
Yeah,
when you're so
definitely.
disappointed.
Yeah.
But obviously, you turned it around and you got the scores you needed. So you're here now. It's fantastic. Great. Well, thanks a million for joining, and I really appreciate you coming here and sharing your story. And congratulations again. I mean, you worked
Thank you
hard.
so much.
You worked hard. You had the right attitude, and you got the score. So you deserve it. And well done. Fair play.
Yeah, I find some of my time to help the other candidates who is in the Facebook group, and especially some other groups, because I believe that my experience may help somebody else too, even
There you go.
at least to prevent them from wasting a lot of money on repeated attempts. So I try to find some time to share my experience.
Great. Thanks a million, and hope everything goes well for you in Canada and you enjoy the new change to your life. It's a big one.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks a million.
Yeah.
Take care of
Thank
yourself,
you.
Sudeep. Bye-bye now.
Bye. Bye.